All right, here we go. We're starting from Zion Amud Beis on the top. First word, right? First word. We ended off last time with the very end of Zion Amud Aleph. So we're going to start with Zion Amud Beis on the top. Miyayim Shebara HaKadosh Baruch Hu Sa'olam. From the time that Hashem created the world, Lo haya adam shekaru LaKadosh Baruch Hu Adain. Nobody called Hashem Master. Until Avraham Avinu did it. So Avraham Avinu was the first one to call him Master. Now other people knew that he existed, right? But Avraham Avinu was the first one to call him Master in the sense that to acknowledge that he runs everything. He's constantly involved in the world. Avraham Avinu was the first one to acknowledge that. But of course, Noach and Adam, they knew he existed. Amarav and others before Avraham Avinu. Amarav, Af Daniel noinene ela b'shvil Avram. Daniel was only answered, and Daniel was a great person himself, but he was only answered in the schus of Avraham Avinu. Shenemar v'yata shemei Elokeinu al tfilas avdecha v'al tachanunu v'ayir panecha al mikdashcha hashemayim l'man adoni. Right? So it's in the sake of my master. In the sake of my master. L'man chami ba'il. Why doesn't it say l'man cha? Why does it say the sake of my master? Daniel's talking to Hashem. Just say for your sake. Why does it say for the sake of my master? L'man Avram shekaruch karacha adon. To teach us that L'man Avram that called him adon, that called him master. We're going to have a lot of these Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Yochai on this Amud. Like we mentioned previously on a previous Amud, that one should not appease someone that's angry, right? Don't appease them. Just let him go. What do you know you're not supposed to do this? B'shas kaseh when he's angry. Shenemar p'nai yelchu v'ani chaysi lach. Amar Yeshua, Amar Yehuda b'Shom Rishim ben Yochai. Amar Yochanan, I'm sorry. Amar Yochanan b'Shom Rishim ben Yochai. Miyam shebar Kadosh Baruch Hu Salamai. From the time that Hashem created the world, Lo haya adam shehayde LaKadosh Baruch Hu ad shabasa Leah v'haydasei. Nobody thanked Hashem until Leah came and thanked him, and the pasuk that was made famous by Joey Newcomb, Shenemar Hapam Oide Es Hashem. And the question is, Leah was the first person to thank Hashem? Obviously not. Leah wasn't the first person to thank Hashem, but she was the first person to thank Hashem for a natural phenomena. She had a kid, it's a natural thing. Leah said, no, even that you got to thank Hashem for. Even for the natural things you got to thank Hashem for. Having a kid is obviously more difficult than just a lot of natural things, we can say, right? It's not such an easy thing, but it's something that just happens. It's a general course of the world. Still, Leah thanked him. She acknowledged that everything, Hashem deserves thanks for everything, natural, unnatural, don't make a difference. Okay. Ruvain. What about the name Ruvain, right? The first of the 12 Shvatim. Amar Lazar, Amar Leah. Leah said, Re'u ma ben beni leben chami. So let's see the difference between my son and the son of my father-in-law, i.e. Esav. The ilu ben chami, by my father-in-law's son Esav. Afagav the medai. It's interesting. It doesn't say Esav's name. I'm not sure if that's on purpose. Afagav the medai zavne lebechirusei. Even though he knew that he was selling the bechayros, right? He knew he was selling it to Yaakov. He did that willingly. Tichsevayim kars bechayros leYaakov. Chazu maksiv bei vayashtem Esav es Yaakov uksevayim hachi krashim Yaakov vayikvein zepamayim. Right? So meaning, even though he knew that he was that he was selling the bechayros to Yaakov, he sold to him willingly. He still hated him. So it was unjust. If ilu beni, but by my son Reuven, even though his firstborn, the right to his firstborn, got taken away against his will and got given to Yosef, even so, he did not hate him. Not only did he not hate him, Pasuk says he tried to save him. So obviously, Reuven did not bear any ill will toward Yosef, despite the fact that the Becharos was taken away from him against his will and given to Yosef. Rus. So now it's the name Rus. My Rus. So what's the name? What's the significance of the name Rus? David. That she was zeichet to have David come from her. Right, from her heritage, and it brought along a lot of joyful and praises from Hashem. Where do we know that the name caused this? That the name was that there's a reason for the name, right? Amar Lazar, Amar Kro Hashem Asher Shem Shemois, Baruch Al Tikra Shemois, Shamois Ella Shemois, referring to names. Interesting thing about names, there was a bris in 1969 at the Tshuva and Rav Moshe brings down. And they brought a child to Rav Moshe. The father, for whatever reason, they didn't get his permission before they named the baby, for whatever reason. Sounds crazy. But they didn't get his permission. And yet they still got by the bris and they still named the baby. So the question is, can you be mevatel? Can you get rid of that name? Rav Moshe said you couldn't. But it shows you the strength of a name, right? Once the name is in there, even if the father wasn't there, you still can't get rid of the name. Names are very strong, as we see from these Gemaras, and as we see from that Tshuva as well. Okay, weiter. Again, we have that guy, right? That Shimon Yochai. Kasha tarba Yisrael b'soich beisai shel adam yosef b'mchamas gel gemagog. Quarrels in a household, amongst people in a household, is worse than the war of Gog and Magog. Yeah, strong statement by the Gemara. Shneimar mizmal David bebarchai mipnei Avshalom benai. Right, that David ran away because of Avshalom his son. V'ksiv basrei Hashem marabu tzarei rabim kam malai v'ilu gai b'mechamas Gog and Magog ksiv lama rigshu gayim v'loimim yako rikiv v'ilu marabu tzarei like ksiv. Meaning, it's a stronger lashon that it says by David, who when he had quarrels in the house, rather than the Gog and Magog. It doesn't say that it was a great pain by Gog and Magog. So we see that the quarrels in the house are even worse than Gog and Magog. Strong statement. Mizmar David, now that we're talking about that song, so let's talk about it. So he ran away, David ran away because of Avshalom, Benai, his son. Mizmar David, Kina David. What do you mean Mizmar David? It was Kina David. So Mishim ben Avishalom, he changed the name from Avshalom to Avishalom. Again, shows you the power of a name. He didn't want to have the name Avshalom, so he gave him the name Avishalom. What's this compared to? La'adam sheyatza alav shtar chayv, person that owes money, and kaidim shaparu haya'atziv. Before he pays the money back, he's all nervous because he's like, I have this debt to pay. But after he pays it, it's a relief. I paid everything, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Afkan, so to hear by David, when Hashem told him something is going to happen in your house, there's going to be some sort of feud in your house. He was upset because he was nervous. Amar Shema Eved Mamzer. Maybe an Eved Mamzer will take over for me. Maybe it'll be something really bad that'll come out of this. He didn't know. It was an unknown for him. Who Deloy Chayis, a lie. So keeping the chaz of Avshalom, who shema mishom hachi amar mizmor, because after the fact he was relieved because he knew what the bad thing was. It was bad, but he knew what it was, and it didn't confirm his previous concern. So therefore, he was happy. He looked at the best in every situation David did. Went through a lot of challenges, and yet he still looked at the best. This is just one of the many examples of that. Weiter. It's mutter to start up with Rishayim in Olam Hazeh, in this world. To start up with them. Interesting, right? And Shaymer can start up with them. Bum. Rabbi Dostai Bar Maftan Amar mutter liskaris b'Rishayim Olam Hazeh. Again, repeating this previous statement, it's mutter to start up with Rishayim in this world. Shnemar oiz v'Torah halu Rasha im l'chashich adam loimer v'haksiv al tasachar b'merayim al takane ba'oisei oilam. Sorry, im l'chashcha adam loimer. And if a person whispers to you and says to the contrary, v'haksiv al tasachar b'merayim al tikne ba'oisei avla. If someone says, no, what do you mean? The pasuk says specifically, you should not start up with Rishayim in this world. Amalai, say to him, Mi shali by nakvay amar kain. Only someone that's heart is plunged, has a hole in the heart, would say this. Meaning someone that's not thinking straight. Only someone that's not thinking straight would say this. That's not the right interpretation of the pasuk. So what's the right interpretation of the pasuk? Ella al teschar b'mereim liyos k'mereim. It's saying don't be like the evil people, k'mereim, like the evil people, like Rishayim. Al takna ba'isei avla liyos k'isei avla. Be like the people that do the right thing. V'ayim al yekna libcha b'chatayim. Kim b'yeres Hashem kol hayom. Frank the Gemara, is that so that you can start up with a Russia? No problem. If you see that a Russia is being playful, that the moment is playing upon him, what does that mean? He's having good mazel. He has good fortune. Then al tiskare boy, don't start up with him. Not only should you not start up with him, but you'll be zeicha b'din, you'll be judged for it. And not only that, another level onto it. He will see the other person's affliction for starting up with him. So you're telling me that it's mutter to start up with a Rasha, but in this world we see that that it's usher to start up with a Rasha in this world. You'll be judged for it, and bad things will happen. So why would you start up with him? Where it says like kasha, that's not really a kasha. Why? If you're just talking stam things, right, matters of idle chatter, then you shouldn't start up with him. But if you're going to I'll go head to head with you in Torah, that you could do. V'iba sema, or another suggestion, that's what the answer is. We have a couple. Hava haba mili dishmaya, actually more than a few. Hava haba mili dishmaya. Really, it's both talking about words of Torah. So why can't you start up with him? If the Rasha is having good fortune, good mazel in this world, don't start up with him. But if he's not, then you can start up with him. Or we have another suggestion as to what the difference is, as to when you can start up with him and when you can't. Really, it's both cases are talking about a situation of where he's having good mazel. So when can you start up with him? If it's a tzaddik gamor, then you can start up with him, even if it's in a time of good fortune. But if it's a tzaddik, it's not gamor. We discussed right last time, tzaddik gamor, a complete and utter tzaddik. If he's not a complete and utter tzaddik, then you shouldn't start up with him. What does the pasuk mean when it says lama tavet baitim techrash bebela rasha tzaddik mimenu v'chiresha balei tzaddik? Right, meaning the rasha will swallow up the tzaddik. Meaning, when does the rasha swallow up the tzaddik? V'ksiv Hashem le'ezvenu b'yadai v'ksiv le'yanu l'tzaddik kol ein el tzaddik mimenu balei tzaddik gamor ein balei. Meaning, what does it mean the rasha will swallow up the tzaddik? A rasha will swallow up the tzaddik? No, meaning it means tzaddik mimenu balei, but tzaddik gamor ein balei. A rasha will only swallow up a tzaddik gamor. I'm sorry, a tzaddik she'enoi gamor, a tzaddik that's not complete and whole. If it's tzaddik that's not a tzaddik gamor, if he messes with a rasha in this world, then yes, he'll get in trouble. But if he's a tzaddik gamor, no problem, you can mess with him. Or another suggestion, go back to answer number 2 and just say, no, the difference is if he's having good mazel. If he's not having good mazel, you can start up with him whether you're a tzaddik gamor or not. Just a little further. Anyone who is kaveya, we talked about this previously. Anyone who's kaveya a makam for davening, we said it's a very great thing. His enemies will fall before him. He won't have a problem with his enemies. That he placed a makam for himself, for the nation of Yisrael. It says both the words la'anaisai and l'kalaisai. What does it mean? In the beginning, Hashem said, no troubles will come upon you. But when they sinned, troubles will come upon you, but destruction won't. So although you have sinned, and although now you'll have troubles, you won't have destruction. You will not be destroyed. A few more lines. Greater, hot take here by the Gemara. Greater is serving a Talmud Chacham, serving people that learn Torah, than actually learning it itself. Incredible thing. Shenemar Pa'elisha ben Shafat. There's a lot of hot takes in this hechta, but that's another one. Pa'elisha ben Shafat asher yatzak mayim al yada Eliyahu. Elisha ben Shafat, instead of actually learning Torah, what did he do? He poured water on the hands of Eliyahu. It doesn't say that he was learning Torah. Rather, he was helping Eliyahu pour water. To teach us that greater is serving a Talmud Chacham than learning Torah. How is that? How is it greater to serve a Talmud Chacham than learning? Because that really is another way of learning, right? The fact that you're watching the Talmid Chacham and you're learning from them, learning from people that are learning Torah, you're learning by example. Either you're learning the Torah itself, or you're learning how to act in a proper way, both forms of learning. So the Gemara is teaching us an incredible thing, that it's greater to serve them and to become an example, and to learn by their example, than to actually learn the Torah itself. Obviously, both are incredibly, incredibly great. If we know how great, right, it says Talmud Torah connected klum, Talmud Torah is connected to all the mitzvahs. So if Talmud Torah is connected to everything, and serving Torah is even better than that, one can only imagine how great serving Talmidei Chachamim it really is. Okay, shkoyach everyone. 2 blot, another week, another 2 blot. Incredible Masechtas Brachos. Be'ezras Hashem, we will continue next time.